Yo, what is good, YouTube? Welcome to Scholar Reacts. Today we're back with some more European football content with a video titled Why Brazil Refuses to Play the Only Player Who Can Save Them. And to be honest, I don't know who they're talking about, but we're about to find out. And yeah, but anyways, make sure you like, subscribe, because it helped me, a lot. And also let me know that you enjoyed the video and you want more like it. So yeah, that being said, I hope y'all enjoy, and yeah, let's get it.
So, you know what upsets me? How Endrick has been completely outcasted by his own teammates when he is the only one who can save this Brazilian national team. I mean, come on, Vini Jr. made his debut for Brazil 7 years ago, and his goal tally is still in the single digits. Then there's Rafinha, who's probably the luckiest man in the world, because if everyone wasn't so distracted hating on Vini, they would have probably noticed that he hasn't scored a goal for Brazil in 446.
Oh my, don't tell me he's an attacker, right? He got to be like a goalie or something, because there's no way. You 446 days without a goal. How are you still on the team? What? What are you doing, cardio?
They would have probably noticed that he hasn't scored a goal for Brazil in 446 days. My man has scored and assisted more in his last 4 starts for Barcelona than he has in the past 4 years with Brazil. There's also Premier League champion Martinelli, who contributed a grand total of 1 goal to that campaign, as well as Mateus Cunha, who similarly also only has 1 goal, but for Brazil in his whole life. Then, of course, Estevão and Rodrigo, who could not make the call-up because they are out injured, and Neymar, who still made the call-up despite being injured right now, and having been so for basically 3 out of the past 4 years. Leaving us only with Luis Enrique, who has the motor skills of a toddler, Igor Thiago, who's putting down some decent numbers, but looks like he's...
I didn't know that Neymar was injured. It looked like a bad injury too. Let me know in the comments what happened. Did he tear something?
For basically 3 out of the past 4 years. Leaving us only with Luis Enrique, who has the motor skills of a toddler, Igor Thiago, who's putting down some decent numbers but looks like he's playing in Timberlands every time he's one-on-one with a keeper, João Pedro, who basically sacrificed himself so Neymar could go, and Raya, who, God bless the kid, had never played more than 15 minutes for Brazil until last week. So, what could possibly be so wrong with Endrick that despite 91% of Brazil's population agreeing that he has to be a regular starter, he has not been given a start for the national team in almost 2 years.
Wow, so I ain't gonna lie, it probably is something behind the scenes. I don't think it necessarily has to do with his the way he plays the game. I think it has to do something behind the scenes, because there's been issues like this when it comes to like the NBA, where coaches and the staff, the managers and whatnot don't want to play the player because of like maybe the things he said online, or some maybe like his attitude behind the scenes. It's always like something that's not necessarily have to do with their talent or their ability to play the game. It's usually something more. It's always like political, in behind the scenes. So maybe that's pretty much it, because 91% of the fans saying like, hey, he should start, and they refuse to do it. Yeah, something has to happen behind the scenes.
Starter. He has not been given a start for the national team in almost 2 years. Well, one thing is sure, it certainly isn't about anything he does on the pitch, and it's been going on for a while now. Think about it. Before all the drama, all the doubts, all that time warming the bench, he had already put Palmeiras on his back and clutched a league title, scoring more than any teenager had this century. He was winning tournaments with Brazil that hadn't been won since the 1980s, being lifted in the air by his people like the second coming of Pele. Even when they made him the youngest player to get a national team call-up since R9 himself, he pulled up with a goal at Wembley. He had even scored at the Bernabeu before he had ever put on a Real Madrid shirt. Endrick had such a ridiculously picture-perfect rise to the top. It was almost unbelievable, and apparently that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. You see, up till then, one of the few stains in his otherwise spotless image had been the fact that he had failed to qualify for the Olympic Games. Now, even at face value, it would be unfair to blame him for that. The only reason they even went into the final game with any hope of making it to the Olympics was that he came in clutch with an 88-minute assist the game before. All of this...
So wait, so why they blaming him if he were the one to save them to begin with? So wait, what?
was that he came in clutch with an 88-minute assist the game before.
Okay.
All of this, despite being 3 years younger than anyone else in the squad. You see what I mean, right? But now...
There it is. There it is. The fact that he's the youngest on the squad, I'm probably like, out talented, like the big dog, they probably felt some type of way. So they're trying to it's like being a rookie on a basketball team, and like the vets always trying to carry my bag or go get me water or go get my towel, or it just things you gotta do as a rookie, you feel me? Like,
is younger than anyone else in the squad. You see what I mean, right? But now, you don't have to take things at face value anymore, because the backstage drama has started to come out to the public.
Ooh.
In fact, in a podcast with ex-national team player Vampeta, one of the hosts leaked one very interesting detail. I've been hearing this since the pre-Olympic tournament. In that
Okay.
locker room, they all blame Endrick. They say that he did not get along with the rest and that he pulled all of the media attention towards himself. They say that pretty much out of those 23 players, 22 hate him. They say he killed the spirit inside that locker room.
wow.
Yeah. Industry plant allegations
And just like I called it, because he's the youngest one and he shining more than it's kind of like Yamal. You know what I'm saying? Like he's one of the youngest and he does getting all the attention, people calling him the best in the world and this and that. It's like that, but sadly for Hendricks, he's not, on Portugal team, so he's on Brazil team. So Brazil, they're like, and Brazilians is like, bro, like, yeah, you're a young dog, bro. Like we got issues, so damn, the fact that they treating him like that is insane. Especially like being like the young one that's coming up. Like you wanna, put him on the right path. You wanna, just build him up, bro. Like why y'all trying to knock him down, bro?
the spirit inside that locker room. Yeah. Industry plant allegations regarding Endrick are nothing new. Even back at Palmeiras, it was very clear both the fans and the manager showed a different kind of love for the likes of Estevão, while Endrick was often labeled as a fake player, with many complaining that this alleged persona that he put up made him appear too performative, sort of a pick-me, as the kids like to say. And maybe you could argue that for all of those social media narratives, all of that attention that he brings to get into the heads of a bunch of under 23 players isn't exactly surprising, but it certainly didn't end there. 2 months after his goal at Wembley, with Dorival still in command of the national team, Endrick was called up to the Copa America. It was a disaster, both collectively as Brazil got sent out of the tournament in the first round of knockouts with a single win to their name, and for Endrick, who having only once played more than 15 minutes for the national team across his whole career, was then put into the starting 11 precisely in that same game. The result was the barely believable stat of only one successful pass in 90 minutes, but still, as the commentator put it that day, they want a 17-year-old to save the entire squad. If there was
Insane.
someone who did not deserve to be made into a scapegoat, it was him. However, that's pretty much how it went. Immediately after...
It's a crazy how they treated him at first. Like, okay, we're not gonna play you, we're gonna minute restrict you and this and that. But when it comes to like big game and they just throw him out. They'll be like, okay, fine, you want to play? There you go. I'm gonna throw him out into the dogs. And then when he don't, play to what they expect, they're like, oh, see, this and that. Like, you can't do that, bro. That's how you play with someone like someone ego, and their pride and whatnot. Like, you just can't do that, bro.
Scapegoat, it was him. However, that's pretty much how it went. Immediately after that tournament, just as they had to play some lower stakes games where it would have made more sense to give some minutes to a teenager, Endrick began being pushed away from the national team. Brazil played 6 more games that year, and Dorival only brought him in for more than 15 minutes once, with Igor Jesus seemingly taking his place and getting almost 4 times as much game time as him. And would you look at that, in that same podcast, Vampeta himself came out saying that Dorival screwed Endrick over. They said it was because of the day-to-day stuff that he didn't like the kid. To which the other guy interrupts saying, from what I've heard from the other players, he's a pain in the ass. And Vampeta replies, well, I didn't want to come out and say it, but yeah, everyone says he's annoying as hell. That's why Dorival didn't like his attitude. Though the strangest part in all of this is that it clearly wasn't just Dorival. Already at Real Madrid
really?
at that point, well, you already know the deal. Considering he was struggling to get minutes in his first season under Ancelotti, only ever getting to shine in the Copa del Rey, it made sense that in the meantime he'd also be finding it tough to get much momentum going with the national team. But then, it was the perfect storm. With a hamstring injury ruling him out of the Club World Cup just as Xabi Alonso took over, not only did that allow Gonzalo Garcia to snatch the tournament's golden boots and establish himself as their second-choice striker, but with Ancelotti coincidentally becoming the new Brazil manager right after leaving Real, it also meant Endrick missed his first ever call-up. Fast forward to December, and he'd only played 99 minutes under Alonso and had a single game in a Brazilian shirt over a span of 18 months. But the worst was that he had been completely forgotten by everyone. And as Zé Roberto...
It's so crazy how managers and coaches and whatnot have the ability to literally crumble your entire career, bro. If they really wanted to, they could be like, nah, you're not playing, bro. Have a seat. They compute millions of dollars and still refuse to play you if you're not willing to be down with the program, regardless of what the program is. If you go against the grain, bro, you're done. You're done. For example, look what it did to Kyrie Irving. You know, when it comes to the whole pandemic and getting the vaccines and whatnot, he went against the grain and they treat him like trash. You know, the media ran with a bunch of narrative calling him this and that, and even with what's his name, Jalen Brown, for talking up and going against the analysts, and making up narratives and trying to create beef within the team or whatnot. So once you go against the grain, bro, it's gonna be hard. They're gonna make your career difficult, and that is so wrong in my opinion.
Was that he had been completely forgotten by everyone. And as Zé Roberto, another former Real Madrid player and Brazilian international, said, the strangest thing to me was that when he was outcasted from Real, not a single one of his Brazilian teammates came out in his support.
Wow.
That says a lot, don't you think? And indeed, in the end, the guidance he needed did not come from any of his fellow countrymates. According to Endrick, he finally gathered the courage to leave Real when his wife asked him the following question.
Wife? Wait, he's married? Wait, I thought he was 17 years old. What the hell? What do you mean, wife?
He finally gathered the courage to leave Real when his wife asked him the following question. There are players who sit on the bench, but as long as they get paid, they're fine. Then there are others who want more. Which kind do you want to become? So, with that, added to some pressure from Ancelotti, who told him that he could only develop his football in a place where he was happy, once Lyon showed interest in the possibility of signing him on a loan deal, Endrick took the leap of faith of moving to a team that had been in risk of getting relegated just 6 months prior, and let's just say that immediately from there on out, he made sure there was no possible excuse to leave his name out of any Brazilian call-up. As everyone worried that with such little game time over the previous year, he'd have a hard time adapting to Lyon, Endrick came into his first game and 5 minutes in, he was already blasting in a shot from 35 yards with such power that it rebounded off the keeper's hands onto the post. And still, he was not satisfied until he scored the winner, being named man of the match and getting labeled by L'Equipe as a prodigy. All of that before he came back for his second game, looking like the most dangerous player on the planet, charging at Brest's defense over and over again, taking shots from outside the box, playing his teammates through with trivela passes, even pulling off a backheel nutmeg just through primetime football, eventually even putting in the pass for the winner.
You see what happens? You see what happens when people give you that courage, you know, that ability to just be yourself and to just enjoy the game. You know, sometimes it's once you're not happy in a situation, something you just gotta take the leap, bro, and just leave. I'm fine, you know, in the place where you're most appreciated, bro. And that's what he did. And look, first game, he already taken over, getting the label as a prodigy and this and that from not being able to play at all. Eventually, you know, have a good chance of becoming a star for a different team. Yeah, bro. Sometimes you just gotta find the right home.
Though all of that was a mere teaser for what would come in his third game. 10 minutes in, with a proper striker's finish, he had already scored. 10 minutes later, he had done it again. And even once that got disallowed, no problem. One run in behind and nobody could catch him in time to stop him from scoring his second. Ooh. And with another one of his runs earning him a penalty, by the end, he had become the youngest player in Lyon's history to score a hat-trick. In just 3 games, he had done what Ben Arfa, Benzema, Lacazette, Martial, Cherki or Fekir never could. In fact, with 6 shots on target in that game, that was a club record as well, which is a sentence that got sort of repetitive considering that a week later, as he blasted in his 5th goal in 5 games with a sort of power we haven't seen since Adriano, he had secured the greatest start by a debutant in Lyon's history. So much so that, even once he let his age show with a careless red card in the following game, the French Federation could not resist already naming him as the league's player of the month. And the worst, all of this while playing on the right wing outside of his natural position, but precisely where Real Madrid were weakened. Fast forward to March, and with Endrick opening their game against Marseille with an assist, then damn near scoring the next Puskas Award winner with a stunning bicycle kick, all within the first 5 minutes.
Wait, no, he different. Wait, that bicycle kick was super clean. I mean, he didn't make it, he didn't get the goal, but that was a clean attempt.
Award winner with a stunning bicycle kick, all within the first 5 minutes, before putting them back in front with yet another assist. Well, add to that an 87th minute equalizer in his Europa League debut, and Ancelotti had no choice but to finally bring him back to the Brazilian national team. However, that only meant more drama. After being completely ignored in the first of 2 friendlies, Endrick was only brought into the next game after 7 other substitutions, but of course, with Brazil tied against Croatia, Endrick wins a penalty, and as he prepares to take it himself, Casemiro and a few other senior players rise up from the bench, demanding he give the ball to Igor Thiago instead. But as he obeys that order, the whole crowd starts booing his teammate, making it clearer than ever how much of a disconnect there was between the fans and the players' judgment of Endrick. And
the thing is, Endrick is not gonna go against, like, you know, his teammate and whatnot, cause he don't want to be in the same position he was in Brazil. So it's like, man, I want to take this penalty shot, but my teammates want me to hand it to someone else, so I just gotta bite the bullet and do what they say. But it's like, you could just see it in his face, like, bro, he just wanted, like, he deserved that shot, bro.
Disconnect there was between the fans and the players' judgment of Endrick. And
that ruins their confidence.
To make it worse, of course, a few minutes later, he still finds time to get himself an assist. Now, his time at Lyon wasn't perfect either. In a video ironically posted by Lyon's official accounts, Endrick could be seen waiting for his teammates by the training grounds gate, repeatedly telling them off for being late to practice. Sure, in a joking manner, but as per usual, you could see that many of them just found him annoying, which many people made sure to point out as evidence of his infamously strange locker room behavior. And as much as that may be pure speculation, on the other hand, by then, with Lyon having gone 9 games without a win and being within a single point of dropping out of the Europa League spots, the French media was starting to come after him. But the moment manager Paul...
Imagine, he's the youngest on the team, right? And he's the most professional out of everyone. You mean to tell me, like, they're getting mad at him because he's holding other people accountable for being late for practice? Like, I can understand, like, okay, he's been a little annoying, but he's doing it for the benefit of the team. Like, he want the team to be better, bro. So it's like, how can you be mad at him for being a leader, even though he's like the youngest on the team? Like, you need people like that, bro. You know, it's not to say like he's the youngest in the team and he's, you know, not being a professional. He not, you know, come to practice on time, and he's not, like, you know, giving his best. He just there for the clout and the money and this and that. Like, bro, come on, man.
The French media was starting to come after him. But the moment manager Paulo Fonseca put his ability to win them games into question, even benching him, the response was immediate. 3 minutes after coming in, he was already assisting the winner. And 2 days later, he showed up to their match against PSG, who were about to become 2-time Champions League winners. And not only did he put Lyon in front 5 minutes in, but 12 minutes later, he assisted what would be their winner with an incredible pass class, as
Damn.
Spanish newspaper Marca declared that Endrick had switched on his beast mode. In fact, he annoyed his opponent so much with his celebration that Luis Enrique refused to shake his hand, telling the press that I purposely ignored them because I hate a disrespectful child. But
Nah, bro. I'm sorry, bro. This got to be deeper than what it is they leading it to be all, because there's no way y'all treating him this bad, bro. This man literally came in clutch, saving games after games, getting goals, getting assists, and y'all still not even trying to like embrace him whatsoever. What do you mean you purposely ignored him? Like,
press that I purposely ignored them because I hate a disrespectful child. But no matter what, with a volley against Rennes and even an assist from a corner just a couple weeks later, Endrick had not only brought Lyon all the way up to 3rd place, securing them their first qualification to the Champions League in 6 years, but he had as
Damn.
many goal involvements in 2026 as Mbappe. Meaning that by the final game of the season, he was getting a standing ovation from the Lyon fans, while his manager completely turned around and admitted that, playing like this, it will be difficult to keep Endrick for the next season, leaving Ancelotti with no choice but to play him, to which, of course, in the final game before the World Cup, he not only came in to score the winner, but in typical Endrick fashion, he left the whole of Brazil in shock, declaring him as the chosen one once again, as the moment he jumped in celebration, his shirt happened to crumble up just right, transforming his number 19 into the famous number 10 of Pele. As
Damn.
Marca wrote that, Endrick has crashed the gate and blown up all of Ancelotti's World Cup plans. It's simple. Line up the club stats of every Brazilian forward, and even Vini and Rafinha struggle to get on Endrick's level.
Oh, really?
It was a good idea to go to Lyon, but he's very young. Even if Endrick gets called up to the World Cup, we gotta be realistic. He's not just gonna come in and solve everything. He
Yeah.
just isn't part of the group. Yeah, obviously you could argue that Casemiro just misspoke, that he didn't mean to sound so harsh, that he has no real reason to resent the kid or refuse to include him, but well, it became much harder to justify his statement when, in a recent training session, soon after Endrick scored an incredible goal, he proceeded to take him out with an horrendous tackle, blowing up the situation even further, with yet another former Brazilian international, crack Neto, taking the time on his show to come for Casemiro, claiming that what he has done is out of order, childish. You don't go flying in like that unless you got a problem with the guy. And to do that as the captain, it just shows what a fake tough guy Casemiro is, how jealous he is of that kid. If he catches his right ankle, he's gone. If Endrick's left leg gets stuck there, he's missing the World Cup, he's in for a surgery. It's a disgrace.
Whoever that guy is, bro, mad respect for you for speaking up on Endrick's behalf, because that was messed up, bro. The fact that he scored awesome goal during practice, and then they took that and try to injure him afterwards is insane, bro. Especially like practice before the World Cup. Like, you can't be doing that, bro. Like, come on.
There, he's missing the World Cup.
And the fact that they don't even have like trust in him to be playing in big games because of his age is another reason why it just like, come on, bro. You seen what the guy, the kid did throughout the entire season. He's the reason why y'all even had a shot. And you trying to tell me you don't even trust him? Like, you have to be realistic? Like, come on.
In for a surgery. It's a disgrace. In fact, if you're wondering what this group that he mentioned in the interview even is, well, as Vampeta explained, back in 2002, Brazil only brought in 6 players from the '98 World Cup. Now, out of the 23 that played 4 years ago, 15 are coming back. And it's very obvious to everyone that that group has a major hold on that locker room, that there's those who belong to the group and those who don't. Just check any behind-the-scenes footage. Igor, Thiago, Raya and Endrick are always together, separated from the rest of the team, and everyone can see that disconnect translates onto the pitch.
Yep.
Check any social media post. Either the whole country is hallucinating or nobody in that locker room likes Endrick too much. Sure, he is a child prodigy who was brought up with only one thing in mind, and that may make him a bit odd, a bit awkward, too uptight, obsessive about training, and the image he portrays, the things he has said publicly, may be a bit off-putting at times. But as Carlos Alberto put it best, Romario was just like him. Shy, not many friends, and hard to deal with. But the only thing that should matter is the ball.
Facts. And if they're saying that he's annoying, he's hard to deal with, and the only thing is like he's trying to better the team, bro. He's holding people accountable. He's the youngest. He's obviously the star of the team, and they hate that. Like all the older guys hate that the youngest player on the team is better than all of them. So they're trying to make it hard for him. And it's just so sad to see like the corruption in all these different sports, no matter what sport it is. And I didn't even know it was like so bad when it comes to like football as well, because football it's such a big sport and it brings so much people together. But the fact that your own teammates don't like you to the point where they're trying to get rid of you, basically, to the point where they're intentionally trying to injure you is insane. But shout out to Hendrick for actually keeping it professional, actually caring about football and not just about the money and the fame and whatnot. But yeah, that's it for this reaction. Hope y'all enjoy it. Like, comment, subscribe, join the fam, and I'll see y'all for the next one.